Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last week, I had the opportunity to go up to Seattle and participate in the National League of Cities conference. And as a member this year of the Community and Economic Development team, Jason, let's take that thing up there, please. Okay, there you go. I want to give you an update. If you can remember NLC, what NLC does is they work on the nonpartisan issues that could adversely affect cities and towns around the nation. And the three things they worked on this year was to save the tax exemption on municipal bonds, to level the playing field, ending the online tax break, which is called the Marketplace Fairness Act, and they want to fix the nation's immigration system. It says here So on the tax exempt part, the status of that is that the idea, this is bipartisan against municipalities, essentially. I mean, the president supports it, Congress supports it. What they want to do is limit the exemption on earned interest-free money that people earn on municipal bonds. And what people don't understand is that governments have financed $1.65 trillion in infrastructure investment through municipal bonds. If we didn't have municipal bonds, we wouldn't have an aquatic center. And I'm sure, and that's just in the small time I've been on council, on what the history would be in this town if we had to pay 8% on bonds and so forth. So right now, nothing has happened. What they want to do, it started out at taking away all the interest on municipal bonds. It's now at a 28% cap. That's supposed to be the compromise. There's nothing legislatively on the table right now. The Senate is writing, Senate leadership's trying to write a reform, as is the House leadership. The NLC, as you see on the bottom line, is just don't touch our bonds, and they're still fighting to ensure that happens. The Marketplace Fairness Act was passed by the Senate on a bipartisan vote of 69 to 27 on May 6th. And what this does is it compels online realtors to collect taxes owed in the area where the product is sold. On September 18th, the House Judiciary Committee released a Principles of Internet Legislation, a guided discussion, and left it right there. So essentially, it's still sitting in committee in the House of Representatives. What's important about this is it's got to get out of committee and get to a vote before the end of the congressional session. Because if that doesn't happen, you're back to square one, and you've got to go back to the Senate to get Senate approval and start the process all over again. So the NLC is working very hard to get it into committee, out of committee, and at least get a vote on it. And because otherwise it just dies if it doesn't happen before the end of this congressional session. The third thing is to fix the immigration system. And as you know, the Senate passed an Immigration Reform Act, and it's hung up in the House. And just last week, while we were at the conference, it was dealt pretty much not a death blow primarily, but it was dealt another bad blow by the House of Representatives. So until they get their act together, and it was pretty much unanimous for everybody there, that the only thing working in this country right now, in fact, they had graphs on this, is the confidence in the federal government, as we all know, is an all-time low. And the confidence in state government, regardless of your state, is sitting at about 28%. And confidence in municipal governments is up around 70%. So municipal governments is where the action is, at least things are happening there. And until they get their act together, and I don't know what it's going to take, and I mean that in a bipartisan manner, I don't know what it's going to take to get their act together. We're still going to be struggling with these potential death blows, I guess you can call them, for financial structures. As you probably also read, I became a leadership fellow, and I didn't know what that was until I got there. The National League of Cities always had a training institute. Well, they've gotten rid of the training institute, and they formed an NLC University. And what they're trying to do is help elected officials, all of us, in being better informed to make decisions. The premise, if you can remember when we went to the National Arizona League, was, okay, you're elected, now what? Okay, well, the Arizona League of Cities and Towns does what the rest of them do, and they help us with open meeting laws and make sure we're not going to break the laws as an elected official. But there are a lot of things that you can still learn as an elected official that the Arizona League or the state leagues don't do. For example, budgeting. There's a new thing called priority budgeting. which has been endorsed by the ICMA. I took a course on that. There are courses you can take on how to get grants, courses on economic development, courses on partnerships, public-private partnerships, how you can form them. And you learn from other people's experiences. I mean, we have a staff that has experience, but if you can compound that experience by talking to people from other states and other cities around this country, big cities, small cities, they all have the same problems. So what we're going to try to do in the NLC University is make these courses available online. Because how many cities and towns around this country can afford to send 1 or 3 council people to these out-of-town conventions? They can get pretty pricey when you start sending a lot of people. So why not do it online? Might cost you $20 or something like that, but at least you can get some education online to learn about some other things that are happening in other cities and towns that could help you, and I mean, when I say you, I mean me, as an elected official, becoming a better formed servant. Another thing we're going to try to do is get involved with the Arizona League of Cities and Towns, so when they have their conference, the NLC University will have a presence there, so you can take a course instead of having to go all the way to Seattle or Washington, D.C., or wherever the conference happens to be that particular year. You can take that course up in Scottsdale or wherever that convention happens to be. Last year was at the El Conquistador. So as a leadership fellow, I'm one of the 40 people in the nation who's helping to develop this program. Hopefully, and I'll go ahead and put this challenge out to my peers up here that when these things come available, please take the courses, one that interests you. Let me know how you feel about the course so I can give the feedback and try to make this NLC University a really going thing. So that pretty much takes care of my report. Thank you.
Thank you.